All right, welcome back to another YouTube exclusive edition of the Barstool Bench Mob, and it is presented by High Noon Hard Seltzer. High Noon Hard Seltzer, just 100 calories, gluten-free, and no added sugar. It's real vodka, real juice for real fans, just like us. Hashtag Nooners. Now, Rico's not with us today. He did say he got a sneak peek of the lemon rigs, and he said it is climbing up his leaderboard. You've tried it too?
Yeah, so Saturday morning, I ran out, obviously Derby Day. You know, I've said it before, I live on a golf course. My neighborhood does a big scramble outing in the morning, and then we have a street party for the Derby. So I ran out to get high noons for after the course, because shout out my course, they just loaded up on high noons finally for the year.
Nice.
And like, I'm in the suburbs. I am not in downtown Cincinnati. I'm old. I'm 35-year-old father, soon to be of 2. I'm in the suburbs. So I run to my gas station, not a bodega, because I don't have those out here, unfortunately. And what do I see? The new pool pack with the kiwi and the guava. Grab some of those. And next to it, the 4-packs of lemon. So immediately I'm like, no brainer. Picked it up. It's delicious. Like, watermelon and peach are still my top 2, but lemon's 100% in the rotation now.
Does it taste like lemonade, or is it like water with lemon but spiked?
It's more, I would say it's more lemonade than water with lemon.
Okay, I love lemonade, so that's amazing news.
I kind of want to do something crazy. Like, I know Rico, did Rico say with iced tea about making like a...
They have like an Arnold Palmer high noon.
Put a little dash of iced tea in there, because I love, like, especially on a hot day, like, give me one of those. And, you know, Jake, I'm looking at you, you have hair. I'm struggling today because... And every bald guy knows this. The first sunny day of the year, I sat out on my back patio without my hat on and sunscreen on. So I got sunburn on the bald dome here. So shout out Lemon and High Noon for helping alleviate that problem. But also, yeah, I'm battling through injury today.
Yes, we love High Noon. Drink responsibly. I cannot wait to try that lemon this summer. Best time, all the time, to drink High Noon Hard Seltzer. All right, so this is our second week in a row doing this YouTube exclusive. We mentioned last week we wanted to build some momentum on our YouTube channel, because it's no secret that is what a lot of our criticism was, deservedly so. We didn't have great numbers on the YouTube, and we're trying to build that up, especially as the season comes around in November. So by the time we get to the fall, we have a lot more subscribers. So we got good feedback. We want to keep that momentum rolling on our YouTube page. I know a lot of people want to hear us talk about the incident, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving pieces. We will be meeting as a group in the coming days and weeks to figure out what the future of the show looks like. But right now, we want to focus on building momentum for our YouTube channel. That's all there is to say right now about that.
Yeah, once we figure it out, we'll let everybody know. That's kind of where we are as a show. And we're speaking also on behalf of Rico with that. He's not here, obviously, but yeah. So that's where we are. So I know everyone's asking us on Twitter and everything. So we just want to be upfront with everybody. That's where we stand right now. When we know more, you'll know more type deal. And Jake, that's why they call you the king of drama right there, buddy.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get into basketball. This first piece of news actually broke right after we recorded, so it's a little bit old, but it's worth mentioning, and I feel like it's going to get us fired up. So there's potential rule changes. All rule proposals must be approved by the NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel, scheduled to discuss on June 9th. So nothing has been set in stone, but here's what they're throwing out there. There's a few, but there's 2 main ones I want to talk about. Number 1, it used to be a flop equals a warning. A second flop equals a technical. Now,
and that's for a team, not just individual. Correct. So if Syracuse flops 1, Syracuse flops 2, then Syracuse gets the team technical.
Correct. Not second, just to carry on what new rule might be taking place to replace that. Instead of warning technical, it's going to go straight to automatic 1 free throw for the opposing team for a flop. How do you see this unfolding if it's passed?
I love the idea. Like, the concept of it makes complete sense to me, because the flopping's been out of control. the last few years. Now, is it going to fix my biggest complaint, which is two biggest complaints, inconsistent officiating and the block charge call? No, because officials are going to be inconsistent with how they call flopping one game to the next, and even within one game. I don't know the solution to that because I don't know if there really is one. And two, the block charge call, I hope it helps fix it, because how many times do we see a flop charge, especially in the post, where, you know, big guy turns his back and then it could be another big guy on him and he goes flying 8 feet backwards and the ref gets all excited to make the punch call. Like, that needs to stop. That needs to go away. And I've been adamant about fixing the charge call. Like, to me, there's a clear difference between an offensive foul and a charge call. Now, you can't fully extend an arm. You can't bowl somebody over. You can't do any of that stuff. Those are all fouls that should be called. I don't like the defensive player sliding in, grabbing his nuts and falling down while there's a pass, or the guy's already in the air for, you know, a runner or some sort, and the ref calls a charge. That is bullshit, and that's ruining the game more than anything else. So if this flopping thing comes in play, and if it happens right away, like the way my perfect envision of this is early in the game, team A flops, trying to draw a charge, probably in the post. They get hit with the technical foul.
One free throw. Maybe that deters it, right? Like, it's not going to completely take it away, but maybe that player or that team is a little more deterrent of that, knowing, hey, we already got called for it once. They're calling this. They're focusing on this. Let's just play defense, because that's the way basketball's supposed to be. I also love, do you see who's in charge of trying to help with the flopping rule? It's our boy, Bobby Huggins. I can't think of a better guy, a better coach to lead anti-flopping. I love it. Yeah, he doesn't want to waste any time. Now, I have a question. So you mentioned right now it's a team technical or a team. Would this be a player technical?
I think no. It's still team. It's still team. So, you know, Syracuse.
So if you flop twice, you're not getting ejected, right?
Right. Which I don't think you should. Like, that's another. I'm actually torn on that, because I think too many times in college basketball, games get ruined because starters are in foul trouble and it's questionable foul calls, or a quick technical for hanging on the rim or staring at somebody, are all things that should be allowed. I say it all the time, and I don't know why people push against me with this. I'm sorry, but I don't want to watch the 9th player on the team have to play 30 minutes.
Right.
Like, so I hope it stays, and I'm pretty sure it will just say team foul. Yeah. Or team technical.
Right. Because you don't want 2 flops to equal 2 technicals, which equals an ejection. Like, because
crazy. What if it's inconsistent, right? Like, what if it's a questionable flop? Like, there's a little bit of contact, he sells it a little bit, but they call a flop. Like, so my 2 biggest fears would be, again, the inconsistent reffing, and is this going to lead to more reviews? Yeah, that's definitely. I can't do more reviews. Yeah, and that's kind of a bridge to we don't want more stoppages in the game. That's a bridge to the second rule proposal, which I think is universally hated. So right now we have 4 media timeouts. Under 16, first whistle, under 16, under 12, under 8, and under 4. There's a proposal to add a media timeout under 17, 14, 11, 8, and 4. So we're getting 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes of play. Isn't there, I don't have it up on me, and I read it a couple days ago, so I might not be remembering correctly. Isn't there something where it would rule out then if a team calls timeout, it wouldn't go to commercial? Yeah, so it says I'm on the NCAA website. It says the rationale is to help the flow of the game, so commercial breaks will not be taken when teams use their timeouts. So team timeouts, they wouldn't go to break. So I don't think it's going to change as much as people are saying it's going to. And the second half, they already have 5 built in because they take the first coach's timeout into a meeting. Right. So to me, like, from a commercial standpoint, it doesn't matter, but it's still like the flow of the game still ruined. There's still too much stoppage in college basketball. Like in terms of players on the floor up and down, that's what I don't want this many. Like, there are too many team timeouts plus media timeouts. Like, we just don't need that much. Right. Not at all. I think it just seems unnecessary. I think
this could take out. So for example, second half, first coach's timeout. If a coach takes a timeout at 16:02, they go to commercial.
Yeah.
And then there's an out of bounds at 15:46.
They go back.
Got 16 minutes, another commercial. You got 16 seconds of play and like 10 minutes of real time. That'll eliminate this, I think.
What I would like them to do instead is if you want to keep the team timeouts as is, I'm fine with that. Media timeouts under 15, 10, and 5. Get rid of one of the media timeouts.
So you think 15, 10, and 5, and then like maybe each team's first timeout? But that would still be 5 timeouts. 5 commercials.
I would say just the first full timeout.
I like that.
4 stoppage per half. I think that's plenty.
I mean, look, this gives them an excuse for more commercials, which is
that's the thing, right? It's a financial decision, which I understand. Like
the flow of the game is going to be impacted. I think
the flow of the game sucks already. Like it's just how many times when we see like when there's no foul calls and no timeouts, and it's like you get to like the 14-minute mark, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah, and
it's like, yeah, okay, the players are tired, but just so
3 commercial breaks before you're getting halfway through the first half is crazy.
Way too much. And another, like, maybe this is just my complaint episode, because another thing that pisses me off is the TV scheduler. It's always 2 hours apart from the game, right? It's
now
always
the games are going to drag out even more, right?
They already do, right? Like how many times like games go 12-2, 4-6, 8? How many times does the 12 o'clock game bleed into the 2 o'clock and you get the notification on the bottom right of your TV, Texas, Oklahoma starting on this streaming service or this other channel, which like, yeah, a portion of us have more than one TVs and we can adjust if needed. But also, what if all my TVs are filled and I'm watching games come down to an end? Like something needs to be done here. I have my solutions, but I'm not smart enough. Like we need to buffer it out of like 12, 2:30, 5, 7:30, 10 o'clock start. I'm sorry, but like if you're staying up for a 9 o'clock game, you're staying up for a 10 o'clock game.
That's the thing we talked about in our last episode, like how important it is to market college basketball in a positive way, like adding more media timeouts and it doesn't seem like it's going in the right direction.
Because how many times do people bitch during like conference tournaments in March when like the casual fans watching and it's like
March Madness is different. They purposely throw so many more ads in.
That's where everyone starts bitching. Like, how do you guys watch this? Like, there's just so much stoppage time.
It's not usually like that.
We know, like, we just deal with it. And I'm just kind of sick of that being the excuse. So we just deal with it. Like, can we adjust? Like, it's 2022. We got to adjust somehow.
Absolutely. So that's our rant about potential rule changes June 9th. Hopefully, I mean, we like the flop one. I think we agree on that.
There are positives that can come out of the flop one.
Yeah, but the media one is just annoying. Not much news to report on the scheduling aspect. There is one game though, December 10th in Vegas, Arizona, Indiana.
Interesting one.
I think Trace Jackson Davis is going through the process, but I think the door's still open for him to return. If he returns.
Yeah, congrats on that 10 seed. And this is what Indiana does every year.
Anything with him?
Every year. I mean, they're running back the same team. Like, do they have guard play yet?
I don't know.
Do they have guard play yet? Because how many times do we hear? And I know they have good recruits.
They lost a few guys too. They lost Rob Finney. Cincinnati.
How many times do we hear this is Indiana's year? They get off to a decent start.
They have a 5-star coming in, Malik Renault.
Yep. But again, how many times can you truly rely on that freshman through the first half of the year?
Yeah. Look at Alabama last year. Sorry, Rico, but like relying on freshmen unless they're like the top of the top is tough.
Right. When you're talking about elite, and I'm not saying like freshmen can't be impactful, but it does take time to adjust to the college game. I also hate that Indiana. I mean, I love and hate it. Indiana bringing back Jordy Holes to the coaching staff. Did you see that?
I did not. No.
So Jordy Holes, who is one of the more infuriating Indiana players over the last 15 years, is back on staff now. So shout out Mike Woodson for bringing back an Indiana guy. Like I do like that. I do have a soft spot for that. I'm also excited to like start revving my engines to hate Indiana again. Like I want them to be relevant so I can truly like get into it with their fans more and more. Shout out Vibs when we had our live show, when we did our watch party.
Oh, he came to the first 4 watch party.
Yeah, and like he just yelled at me for like 30 minutes about Indiana basketball. And like I love it because Vibs doesn't show that sort of emotion.
And when you get a blue blood in the tournament for the first time in 6 years, like they're going to be extra excited.
Right. So I am curious about that game because I want to see how Arizona comes back, right? Year 2 of Tommy Lloyd. You know, obviously they're losing players. He's bringing in his system, bringing in his guys. While the first year is always interesting for coaches, I also think like years 2 and 3 might be actually more intriguing because you can no longer do like, well, it's guys from the leftover staff. It's a new thing. Like, okay, people start figuring out your style a little bit more, especially in conference play. How do you recruit? How do you hit the portal? Who do you keep from that team if they're all younger? So I am that's gonna be one of those games that won't maybe register because it's during football season, but come for us, come December, that's gonna be one. And we can argue if we like it on a neutral court or home and home, but it's a game that's going to draw eyes for most college basketball fans. Yeah,
for sure. And until all these guys make their draft decisions, it's hard to like really, really get excited for a game.
Yeah, right.
Name brand perspective, like if Trace comes back, that's great.
Right. And even just the names, Arizona versus Indiana.
Yeah.
Like that's, especially you can sell that.
Yeah, absolutely. This game would have been much more exciting in like 2012 or 2014.
Yeah.
Tom Miller and
when Tom Crean had,
I guess this could have been Miller versus Miller.
It could have been at one point.
Yeah.
I still hope like I want a Miller versus Miller and I want a Hurley versus Hurley. Can we get a doubleheader? Can we sponsor a doubleheader?
It'd be wild, yeah.
Can we do like a Barstool doubleheader? Like the sponsor, like we'll come up with like a good name for it, like the Battle of the Brothers, sponsored by Barstool Bench Mob.
I love that.
I think that's a
fantastic idea. There's got to be another one out there that we're not thinking of. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but tweet at us what we're missing. 2 brother coaches going head to head. Rico's white whale, Mike Brey, is in the news. Obviously, last episode, we talked a lot about NIL and the just changing landscape of college basketball. He had a unique take on the NIL and the portal, which I like. Here we go. Quote, "We've got to stop complaining. This is the world we're in. And last time I checked, we make pretty good money. So everybody should just shut up and adjust." Yeah. He's right. A lot of these big time coaches, not a lot. If you're a Power 5, Power 6 coach, you're a millionaire, right? You're making $1 million. I would assume you're making $1 million.
Low majors are making 6 figures.
Right. So like it has nothing to do with their job. I mean, it affects their job. I'll back that up, but it doesn't affect their livelihood. So why should like their players benefiting helps their livelihood too? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if your players benefit, you are able to recruit better, get better players, which means more success, which means better contracts. Or maybe, if you're at a mid-level high major, you might get one of the better jobs. So it was refreshing to hear a coach say that. I've been getting yelled at a lot because I'm on Mike Brey's. My stance is the same as Mike Brey. Mm-hmm. And everyone keeps saying, like, why do you keep talking about NIL and portal? Why do and it's because it's the biggest topic in college sports.
This is the first full season, first off season where it becomes a factor.
Right. It's the biggest story in college sports, whether it's basketball or football.
Mm-hmm. Brandon and Casey, I'm pretty sure they had a whole topic on that too for college football.
Outside of the actual games, it's the biggest story. So that's why we're talking about it. And the fact that Mike Brey went against the grain. Every other coach, there's been a lot of big name coaches who have said something.
Weren't there rumors that's the reason why Jay Wright retired?
Yeah, like that was a rumor. He came out and said like he couldn't really figure out the portal. And when he saw like his younger assistant coaches figuring out, he was like, okay, it's just my time. And I mean, who knows what else, right? Like, again, when you're 60 with as much of a legacy as Jay Wright has, again, wouldn't you go kick it on the beach too with your millions upon millions of dollars? So it's refreshing to hear that. I actually thought his second quote was funnier, where his assistant told him he wakes up early every morning reads a little bit of the Bible, and then opens the portal. That's his morning routine. And Mike Brey said, you should switch your order and then get back to me.
Oh, really? That's a basketball guy quote right there.
That's a great quote. And, and Mike Brey, he's been around forever. Mm-hmm. So, everyone always, the anti-NIL portal guys go, well, how are these, maybe for the younger coaches and newer coaches, it's easier. Mike Brey's a lifer. Mike Brey's been at Notre Dame for decades. I think he's been 19 years now.
But
he's on the other side.
Yeah, so, I don't remember life at Notre Dame basketball without Mike Brey. He's been there since 2000. Right. So,
and then everyone else saying like, oh, well, of course Mike Brey will say that Notre Dame's going to benefit. It's like, well, will they? Like Notre Dame football is going to benefit. Notre Dame basketball isn't Notre Dame football, right? Like they're not that name brand. They're not as successful as Notre Dame football. While they are a good program, yes, they are a major program, but would one of their players leave for a Kansas, a Kentucky?
Right.
I don't think Duke or Carolina because they're in the same conference, but one of those other major schools.
Yeah.
What about his seventh guy who is playing 17 minutes a game? What if trying to think of like, what if Loyola Chicago comes calling? He could lose his seventh man to become the second guy at Loyola Chicago.
Yeah.
So there are pros and cons, man. Like that's what it's going both ways. So it's really refreshing to hear Mike Brey come out with this tape and be really the first name brand coach to say something like that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I was just saying, shut up. This is the future. Like deal with it or fall behind.
Right. And this isn't the first time that coaches have had to do this, right? Like the 3-point line was never a thing, became a thing. Guess what?
It moved back like a few years ago, right?
I'm saying even just installing the 3-point line.
Oh, yeah.
Like there are a long period of time without a 3-point line. That became a thing in the 80s, and coaches had to adjust. When transfers were allowed, that when freshmen were allowed to start playing that like varsity basketball, coaches had to adjust. So it's like it's obviously now because it's money, it's 2022, there's social media, but coaches always need to adjust. And it's just Mike Brey finally hit the nail on the head with the right saying.
Yeah, I think it's a good take. In the transfer portal, there's still a few undecided guys, but a few notable ones that took place, both going to the Big East. So Manny Bates from NC State, and then also Clemson's Alamir Dawes going to Seton Hall. So Shaheen Holloway and Thad Matta, new locations, getting some nice acquisitions.
Yeah, I don't think this should be that shocking, right? Like, who wouldn't want to go play for Thad Matta? He sent guys to the pros. He's made a title game. He's made Final Fours. He has success. And you're playing in the Big East. Shaheen Holloway, whether it was the part of my take interview, whether it was him on court interviews, whatever, is as pro player coach that we've seen in what feels like a long time.
For the St. Peter's players to show up to his Seton Hall press conference after he bailed on them.
Right. Yeah. And just the fact that like, it truly seems like everyone loves playing for him. So yeah, I don't think it's that shocking. And these are like, again, like if you're going to be anti-portal, why aren't people freaking out about these sort of transfers? The mid-level.
Right. Like role players that could lift the team to a tournament.
Right. So
why not?
I think it's good for everyone involved. And even like today I saw DJ Burns, big guy from Winthrop, going to NC State.
Yep. Again,
like he was really good at Winthrop. He's trying to get a pro career done. So, and Kevin Keats is fighting for his job. Like he's a potential on the hot seat type guy. So of course he's going to go out and try to land a DJ Burns if he can and see what fits to fill a Manny Bates that leaves. So the trickle down effect is all there. It's interesting. Like there's still two big names out there.
Mm-hmm.
Am I forgetting? Imani Bates and Tyrese Hunter are the two biggest ones still out there.
I can think of. Yeah.
Well, then I guess technically if you include guys that are in the draft, but option to return and enter.
Right, like Matthew Meyer, if he comes back to college basketball, he's got everyone calling him. Yeah,
a Keon Brooks type player.
Right.
So, but I'm curious to see where Hunter goes. I love that Bates said like he's not making a decision until June. I hope he drags this out as long as possible. Like, embrace being the prima donna that everyone says you are.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But yeah, the Big East we mentioned last episode, all the coaches, like, could be the most fascinating conference in the country. Here's some new role players that could.
Do you think? All right, I'm not going to say that they're the best coaching group in the country. Do you think they're the most entertaining coaching group in the country?
By SEC. I mean, we're biased. Muss, Oates are great.
Calipari, whenever a mic's in front of him.
Say what you want about Will Wade. Obviously, he's not there anymore, but like, he was entertaining. Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not talking X's and O's. I'm talking, okay, well, this is something for us to blog about, talk about on the podcast, type guys.
Yeah. I think the Big East, old school Big East is back. Like, I think we could see some fights. Just like
we could.
I mean, I'm not saying we're gonna get a Juwan Howard, Greg Gard thing. I'm just saying like the chippiness. Well,
yeah, like the
vibes.
The old John Thompson and Louis Carnesecca type, where they go at it, but then Big John shows up to St. John's with wearing the Louis sweater. So
like Sean Miller versus Thad Matta, like that's gonna be tremendous theater.
Sean Miller versus McDermott, like.
Yeah,
McDermott has
Creighton's got a target on their back now. Like,
yeah.
So I'm very, very excited for the Big East. You have a team in your backyard, Xavier. Obviously, we're in New York City. Like, we got to make some trips to the Big East this upcoming season. Yeah,
we do. And like the Big East is known for having an awesome offense. So hopefully that continues too, because I would love to watch like coaches go at it, and it's like 87-85.
That would be great. Also, backtracking a little bit, if they do automatic free throws for a flop, we might see an increase in points. It could be an extra 2 or 3 points per game.
Yeah. Or not even just the free throws, the fact that there's not the offensive foul calls and that bucket counts instead of a wave off the bucket offensive foul call.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 more segments here. Some sad news that we want to touch on about Adreian Payne, unfortunately, shot and killed in Orlando. Big factor on the Elite Eight team for Michigan State in 2014. We're a college basketball podcast. We want to bring it up. Just awful.
Yeah. And shout out Draymond Green. He was close with Adreian Payne. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. He came out. There's reported him and his wife are donating $100,000 to set up a fund for in Payne's name and memory. And then like the way the story came out of Payne trying to help an alleged domestic dispute. Yeah. And so by all accounts, just incredibly sad. I mean, 31 years old, like, it wasn't that long ago we were watching him at Michigan State. He was kind of the prototypical Michigan State player, pretty good recruit out of Dayton.
First round pick in 2014,
but like the development, right? Like a little bit of production, a little bit more production, borderline 3rd team All-American his senior year, turns into a first round pick. So, just sad all around. And again, 31 years old, just so young. Awful.
All right. This final segment is a new segment. I don't know. I feel like we'll have enough content to come out of it semi-consistently because of what we've seen from this group. So this last segment is going to be called the NCAA Stinks. And basically we'll
have plenty of content.
Yeah. I mean, we could have done it earlier about the media timeout.
Yeah.
But we're going to give an example of the NCAA stinking. So here's the situation. This is all from Jeff Goodman. How about this for some BS? South Carolina State signee Justiven Walker requested his release from the National Letter of Intent on April 11th, immediately after Coach Tony Madlock left for Alabama State. All right. So we'll go step by step here. Guy signs with South Carolina State. Then his coach bails and he wants to decommit from South Carolina State. Makes sense. School didn't give an answer until this past Sunday. So April 11th. This past Sunday was what, May 7th or May 8th? So
something like that, yeah.
A month of just not hearing back. And it was denied. The school wants Walker to meet with the new head coach of South Carolina State. Here's the issue. They don't have a head coach right now. It's been exactly 1 month since Madlock left. South Carolina State Athletic Director Stacey Danley, just do the right thing and let him go. I mean, what are we doing?
And like, yeah, we say like NCAA stinks. South Carolina State.
Yeah, I guess this is them, but like, why is there even a hurdle here?
Right. So I'll say it. I hate South Carolina State. They like, I hope you lose.
I guess maybe I misclassified. Does this even have to do with the NCAA?
Well, yeah, because you sign your NLI.
Yeah,
which is an
I get NLI and NIL mixed up.
Yeah, they got to come up with different things here.
Yeah.
You sign your national letter of intent, which isn't uncommon, but we're starting to see, especially bigger names, not sign NLI so they can get out of transferring easily. But at the same time, like, you know, you risk maybe not having your scholarship locked in, or there could be shady stuff. This is just bullshit. Like, you don't have a coach. Your coach left.
Yeah, they want you to meet with this coach, and there's no coach to meet with. Like,
right? Like, who are you meeting with? Like, you're just sitting down in an empty chair. So, like, fuck South Carolina State and their athletic director. Like, you know what? I dare you to come on here and debate us about this.
And keep in mind, each day that they keep him waiting is another day where spots are filling up at other schools in the portal. So, like, if he doesn't get an answer until June, he could have gone to school a month ago, but now he can't.
Right. And this is exactly why I don't care about the transfer portal, because schools pull shit like this. Coaches leave for better jobs and better spots. All good when coaches leave. I have no problem with that. You're advancing in your career. It's also why I don't give a shit when a player leaves, because why would he ever stay at South Carolina State? Even if South Carolina State could hire his dad or a family member, and they could win their conference and win a tournament game and all this stuff. And if he left, I'd say good for him, because he should hate the school.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Whatever.
It's so stupid. Like, I just don't understand. Like, what are we doing here? How can a reasonable person look at this situation and go, no, you got to play for us?
Yeah, so that is our first segment, the NCAA stinks. If you see any other stories, tweet at us. We'll include them in the coming shows. But yeah, that's our show.
Quick shout out while we're on that. Quick shout out Antoine Davis. He was a coveted transfer. Mike Davis's son. He's the leading scorer in Detroit history. Entered the transfer portal. Went through it. You know, visited. I think he had 5 schools. Went and you know, visited the schools, went through that process, accepted an NIL deal with a company that does like glow up basketballs is how I saw it.
Oh, I used to have one of those, the Night Brights. That would be so
something
cool.
Like
they didn't really work that well.
Yeah.
Remember like the lime green glow in the dark?
Yeah.
Those are sick.
And now he decides to go back to Detroit for his final year, and he's sharing profits with his teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that's great about NIL is right there. Everything great about the transfer portal is right there. Antoine Davis, you could argue, is too good for Detroit, but he wants to. And everyone say, well, it's because his dad's there. Yeah, maybe. But guess what? He that's what the portal's for. You go, you explore your options, you make a decision. Yeah. That's what Antoine Davis did. He's back in Detroit. By all accounts, a beloved teammate. So shout out Antoine Davis. And this isn't a nobody. He was one of the top 20 transfers in the portal this offseason. So I wanted to bring that up for, you know, a pro NIL and portal rant.
Absolutely. 100%. I can't stop thinking about those basketballs, the Night Brights. They're called. So much fun. The only problem is you can't see the hoop. It's still dark.
Right.
It's just cool, light glow in the dark.
You need like a light up like net that you can put in like at dusk time.
Yeah, it was a Night Bright. NITEBRITE. Awesome. But yeah, if you're, by the way, shout out our producer Tom. He came up with the idea of premiering it live so we can get interactive with the chat. So if you're in the chat right now, appreciate you. I mean, we're kind of going back in time here, but hopefully we've been interacting with you throughout this episode.
Yeah.
In the chat. And then update on next week. So Reeg's gonna be in the office for the dozen. We want to do an episode just full of listener questions. So tweet at us, tweet at Bench Mob, any questions you may have openly about the sport, whatever, and we'll get that to you. But yeah, that's our main initiative right now, building the YouTube, getting something going. So by the time November rolls around, we have a bigger foundation than what we have right now.
Yeah, and we can't obviously grow without you guys, the fans, and everything. So we want to do a Q&A with you, and we want to do it more than once. Obviously, we want to do it every so often. So, you know, you guys have input on the show. What do you guys want to hear about? Who do you want to hear about? Topics you want to hear about? All that stuff. Because like I said last episode, college basketball is now becoming a longer off season in a good way, where it's not the same story over and over and over again. So let us know. It could be towards NBA draft. It could be towards next college basketball season. It could be also whatever. It could be random campus questions for all you want. Whatever you guys want, tweet it.
And who you want to have on, if we want like guest requests.
Yeah, I mean, literally everyone's going to be in the office next week, so we can grab someone in and
right. No, I was saying for basketball too.
Well, that too. Yeah. But even next week, like, you know, we'll have everyone in the office. So if you have an Illinois question and you also want to hear from Carl,
we'll drag him in for
with us. We can grab him for that question.
Yeah.
So tweet at Bench Mob, tweet at myself, tweet at Jake, email, whatever. Let us know, and that's our plan for next week as we continue to hope this keep growing and rolling through.
Yeah, just open-ended right now, seeing what sticks and what people like, and that, of course, is the goal. We want to entertain you guys throughout the off season, and of course, when November rolls around. So yeah, that's our show. Shout out to High Noon. Everyone enjoy the rest of the week. Please subscribe to Bench Mob. We appreciate it, and we will see you guys next week.